Hello and welcome to the Tomcast. I'm Tom, president and dictator for life of 515comics.com. Coming to you today from the other side of my couch. Normally when I'm down here recording Tomcasts or working on anything, I'm sitting in that chair right in front of the computer. And you know what? I don't ever really get to sit and enjoy my couch. And I want to. So here I am. Recently, I came across something posted by a friend on DeviantArt, a fellow webcomic creator who makes a great science fiction webcomic called Antares Complex. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I'm sorry, but, I don't care how you say next to, so if you want to pronounce it differently from me, it's a made-up word. Anyway, if you like my comic, you should definitely give his a read, because he does, way more, sci-fi action-y stuff than I do. There's spaceships and there's dogfights and it's cool. I like it a lot, and there's going to different planets and stuff, and way more sci-fi than I kind of let next to's get. So this fellow, he posts on DeviantArt recently this question of what are the things that you like to see in your sci-fi? What kind of technology do you like to see? How do you like it when they explain things a certain way? And I was like, that's really cool, and I didn't know what to do for a Tomcast today, so I'm like, I want to talk about some sci-fi stuff. And specifically, I thought that I would talk about space travel. A few years ago, I read a book that sort of explained how immense our solar system really is, and it really sort of drove home the point that it's I don't think we're ever going to get out of our solar system. It's just so massive that for science fiction, there needs to be some other explanation for how we can populate the stars. How do humans make it beyond our solar system? This is handled so many different ways in so many different sci-fi, and there's so many great ways to do it. But I just thought maybe I'd talk about a couple of the ones that I like and maybe what I would want to use for next twos. So far in my comic, I haven't really had need to address when, how, or why humans have spread throughout the galaxy. So there's a lot of big world and universe stuff that I've thought about, but I don't really have much reason to inject into the story. One of the things that I've always really liked is the idea of an alternate universe, sort of parallel dimension, where time and space sort of work differently than they do in our own dimension. And in many different science fiction stories, you will see either there's a type of engine or drive that makes it so that you can enter into this subspace or this hyperdimension or whatever you want to call it, where you take a ship or a person or just some space, and you kind of make a bubble and go into this other location, and you can move at a speed and re-emerge somewhere much faster than you really should. So, faster than light, maybe near instantaneous, it all depends. I kind of like that idea, and I also really like the idea of instead of having it be an actual drive inside of a spaceship where it's this spaceship allows you to pop out of existence and then pop back in. I kind of like the idea of a gate system. This is something that has been in a lot of space-based video games, and also just in some of my favorite cartoons, like Cowboy BeBop had this, where it was a gate system where you pass through these gates, and once you go through them, you're in the hyperspace, or you're in the alternate pocket dimension sort of thing, and it lets you move at a much greater pace and get to another location. The trick there is then who set up the gates and how long did it take them to do that. In Next Juice, that's kind of what I want. I kind of want to have this gate system where it's that's how you can get from one end of the galaxy to another relatively quickly. There's still probably very high speed travel just through real space. But these gates would be the things that really help you hop around. There are obviously still huge swaths of the galaxy that are unreachable or unexplored, but at least all of the different races that are starfaring races in the Next Two universe, they can interact fairly regularly and fairly quickly because they have these like waypoints that they can get to. And as for who built them, I would say in the next two universe, it would actually be one of the first starfaring races just did it. And they've just been expanding it as they go, and they're still doing it. And that would be the Northern. I've made a couple sketches of them. I'll throw one up here. But, aside from having an idea of them being a starfaring race, I don't know that they're ever really going to need to show up in the comic. I mean, you might see one in a background somewhere, but there's probably not a lot of reason for these guys to be on the planet of Nextus. So, but anyway, that's just something that I kind of like. What sort of sci-fi elements do you like when it comes to space travel? Do you like warp drive and like Star Trek? I don't really know how much that works. I don't know much about it, but let's have a discussion. What do you like? What sort of interplanetary travel do you envision? Do you prefer in your science fiction? Anyway, thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I hope you read some good comics. I am going to lay out on my couch and maybe read a little bit of some comics myself. So have a good one.